Ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by the moon. While walking to school every morning in those gloomy, cold and dark Icelandic mornings, I would look up at the moon and wonder if I'd ever get to go there. And I wondered how it feels to just stand on the surface and look down on Earth. This really made me aware of the larger perspective of our universe and how incredibly small we are in comparison. And ever since, the moon has had a very special place in my heart. In 2015, NASA released all of the photos that were taken during the lunar landing missions in the 60s to the general public on the internet. So everybody can go to Flickr and just have a look at all of these photos. These are 14,228 photos, which is to be expected because once you're on the moon and you have a camera, you're just like, this is so great, just clicking away. And me being a space nerd, I immediately got onto Flickr for days and just scrolled through all of the pictures. I mean, they're really like raw pictures from the moon. Like if your friend Bob would go to the moon, this is probably what its Instagram feed would look like. But there are so many, but so interesting, nobody has time to look at all of them. Here you can see a good selection of some of the photos. They're rather casual. I mean, these are people on the moon, alone on the moon, taking pictures. You get like a really glimpse of how life could be on the moon. And in this library, there are some quite famous photos, like this one of Buzz Aldrin taking his first steps down the lunar ladder of Apollo 11. And the photo is taken by his friend Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon. And this one, Buzz Aldrin's footprint on the moon, which is still there today, 50 years later, because there is no weather or corrosion to wipe it away. And there are many more photos, and there are a lot of rocks in them. Like this one, a lonely pole in a space desert. And this one as well. I find them all amazing because they're on the moon. But they're also quite lonely. Here we are. We've built a spaceship and a car, and we're driving around the moon. And I just felt this strong feeling of loneliness and the landscape. And I'm a musician, and I started to hear music within me when I look at the photos. Like each photo has its own mood, so each photo should have its own little soundscape. Yeah, cool idea. I'll just go ahead and write 14,228 songs to the photos and release it. Cool. No, that's not that simple. Only listening to them would take 2 weeks. So, fortunately, I'm also a programmer, so I decided I should just write a program to write all the songs for me. So I sat down at my computer and wrote some code for some days, weeks, months, and came up with this thing I like to call Poco Apollo. Poco Apollo is an online immersive experience which shows you a random photo from this library, and it appears slowly like a photo appearing in a dark room. And underneath you can hear the soundtrack that my software has generated for the photo. And this is what it sounds like. But wait, 40,228 photos, and now we have 40,228 songs to listen to. This doesn't help us at all. No, it doesn't. And to be honest, I haven't listened to all of them. I've only listened to a select 100 or so. I've spent a lot of time with this program. This is what is called generative music, music that is ever different and changing and is created by a system. To explain generative music, we should take a look at this device. How many of you had one as kids, like the spirograph? Yeah. We're all really good at drawing, right? No, it's a simple system, or like a mechanical system that helps us do cool patterns by choosing different gears. So the gears are our input, and the cool patterns are our output. But how does that relate to changing an image into a composition? Well, this is a very simple question, but it has a very technical answer, and I can get really technical. So I'm just going to try and say this in a short amount of time. Let's begin by understanding, how do we understand a picture? Well, us as humans, we just look at it with our eyes, and it stirs some emotions within us. Might even make us want to cry. It's like, it's hazy, it's diffused, and no problem. But a computer doesn't have feelings, it cannot understand, and in fact it's just a glorified calculator. It only does what we tell it to do. So a computer might try to quantify, put a certain number for the photo. This picture is 8% happy. Yeah, okay. And we look at this photo, we see a lot of rocks. Yay, rocks. We all love rocks. But the computer just, this picture is 91% happy. Yeah, thanks for that. So how can we make the computer see? We use something called computer vision, and in a very simplified sense, it helps us extract features in the image, and this is what the computer sees in the end. This data helps us boil this image down to a single number. And now we have our number in place. We just need to make music with it. So I chose to use an algorithm called the game of life. The game of life simulates natural behavior of organic cells, how they divide and how they make clusters. There are certain rules, so each cell evaluates their surroundings and either splits or disappears. This creates a natural flow. The black cells here are the alive cells. This creates a natural flow around their world. And by taking this game of life and assigning musical notes to it, represented by numbers, we are able to listen to it. And it sounds something like this. And we have a chord progression. Now we put it all together, and this is what it sounds like. This mellow image has a mellow soundtrack. And here you might expect to hear rock music, but this is the soundtrack for the happy picture. You hear there are more notes, the chords are a bit more happy, it's more uplifting. Good to end a presentation with uplifting music. So I think with this generative artwork, the true power lies within the artist himself. The artist can create a computer program to help him create his art. So instead of thinking about what is created, we think about how we're going to create it. Then we make a computer run the numbers and do a lot of art for us. And we can come back to it as artists and listen to the output and select the ones we like and maybe take them further. And that's actually the next step for Poco Apollo. I'm curating a collection of my favorite tracks, 6 or so, and I'm going to be releasing that as an album early next year. And I take these songs and push them a bit further, put a human touch to them, get string players to play. It's going to sound really nice. And actually, there's a break after my presentation, and I will be playing this album for you, so you can stick around and listen if you want. Otherwise, I just want to thank you for listening and enjoy the music.